Hello, crafty friends. It's Lynn Dunn here. Welcome to my live patriotic card making workshop. I'm so excited about this workshop. I hope you are too. Today, I'm going to show you how to make two quick and simple patriotic cards. So here they are. And I'm also going to show you how to step them up to create even more cards. These cards are just perfect for celebrating the 4th of July. And then, of course, I have a card here that is just great for honoring the men and women of our military. So I'm super excited. So let's get started. I'm going to just move some of this stuff out of the way. And we are going to make this card first. So we're going to start with a quick and simple 4th of July card. And I'll tell you a little bit about the supplies that I have here. So, of course, I'm going to be using red, white, and blue because those are the patriotic colors. So this is Night of Navy, and I have some real red cardstock, and then I have some Whisper White cardstock. And then we're also going to use a couple of different stamp sets. So I am going to use the Playful Background stamp set from Stampin' Up, and we're going to make a little flag card with this set. So we're going to use the stripes and we're going to use the little swoosh images from the set. And then I'm also going to use the tabs for everything set, and I'm really just going to use the stars that are in here and then the little celebrate. So let's get started. I'm going to open up my ink. So I'll open up my Real Red, and I'm going to use a little stamping pad so that I get a good stamped image. I'm also going to use my Night of Navy. So we'll get these all set up. Okay, so I'm going to start to create this card. I'm going to start by stamping the little swooshes, I guess you call them, up on the top using Night of Navy ink. So we'll start there because that will give us a good starting point for stamping our little, what do you call them? Our little lines for the flag. So then I'm just going to ink up the little lines, and I'm going to start off in the corner here, and we'll stamp that first. And since these are photopolymer stamps, that's why I'm using the little pad underneath. And I'm just going to keep stamping the stripes all along until I have created the look that I want. So there you go. And then I'm going to add a little sentiment. So in my original card, you can see I have little sentiment here, and I stamped a couple little stars. So I'm going to start by stamping the sentiment. I'll put that there, and we'll put another one off to the side. And then we'll just add a couple little stars. And you could just randomly add these anywhere. There you go. Okay. So now I just need to assemble my card. So I have a little, I like to use matting, and I'll tell you a little bit about this stepping up process. So for this card, I decided to step it up and put it on a little bit of a mat here. So kind of using layers to step up my card. But you can step up your card in a variety of different ways, and I'll show you how I do that. So then we'll put this on our card base here, and voila, we have our quick and simple patriotic card. Now you can step it up in a couple different ways. Like I said, I used layers for this one. I'll bring in a couple other designs. This one I just stamped directly on a white piece of paper. So I did the same design. It's the exact same design. I just didn't use the layers. But I did add a couple little embellishments like some rhinestones and some little pretty glimmer stars. So you can certainly do that to step up your card. You can also step it up by changing the direction of the design. So for this card, I decided instead of doing it this way, that I would stamp my flag this way across the card. And then I just added a little bit of texture down on the bottom and then embellished it with some fun new shapes that I used with a new framelit set called Stitched Labels. So it's kind of fun, and I just added a little bit of ribbon. And again, I just added some stars up on the top. So you can really step these up any way you want, but you can see how different each of the cards are. So the point I want to make is that you don't have to redesign your cards. You can use the same design, just change up, add a couple little things and change up the design just a little bit to create a different look. So there are the first cards. So let me know, shoot me a comment and let me know if you have ever stepped up a design this way. Have you used the same design and then just added different embellishments or things like that? So leave a comment below. So the next card I'm going to show you how to make is a card for the men and women of our military. And I'm going to clean up my mess here, so hold on. So this card showcases the lined alphabet set. So this is a new alphabet set. So that is what I used for the hero on here. And then I also used some of the images from the Ribbon and Courage set. So I used the solid image, and I'll show you what I did with that. I also used the word courage in there. But for this card has a lot of different stamping on it. And so one of the fun things that you can do is we can use, I gotta grab it here. I'm gonna show you how to use the new Stamparatus. So let me clear off my workspace a little bit here. So the Stamparatus is a stamp positioning tool, and it really allows you to position your stamps so that, first of all, you get a good, clean, crisp image. And secondly, once I position all of my stamps, oh, one second here, I'm going to take this out. Once I position all of my stamps, then I can create a variety of different cards over and over and over again. Okay, so the Stamparatus has two little plastic plates here, or I suppose they're acrylic, and then it has a nice stamping base. So we use the pad. This can be used with the photopolymer stamps, or it can be used with the cling stamps. So the photopolymers are the ones that you can see completely through, and then the cling stamps are the ones that you can't see completely through. So you'll use the pad with the photopolymers, and you'll take the pad out and use it with your cling mount stamps. So I'm going to start out with stamping. I'm going to start out stamping the courage all the way down the side of the card. So this is one of my favorite features about this set. And all you're going to do is just lay your stamp where you want it. I'm going to move this over. And then we're going to pick it up with the plate. And then I'm just going to ink it up. I'm going to use real red. So we'll ink it up, and then we'll stamp it down. And then I'm going to ink it up again. And my favorite feature about this Stamparatus is that it has this hinge design on the side. So you'll notice I stamped it with it in the hinge up here, with it in the first hinge. Now I'm going to move it down one slot, and I'm going to stamp it again. Isn't that awesome? And then I'm going to do that all the way down the card. So I'm going to move it down one more hinge, stamp it again, ink it up, and I'm going to move it down to the last hinge and stamp it again. So now you see that's how I created the courage all the way down the side of the card. So now I'm going to flip this around and I'm going to put the stars that we used in the previous cards. Let me clean those off here. I'm going to put those, I want those in between the word. So we'll kind of line it up where you want it. And I'm going to grab it, but this time I'm going to put in, I'm going to take this off here. This time I'm going to put my pad back under because we're using a photopolymer. So I need just a little bit more support underneath. Okay, so now I'm going to use my Night of Navy. I'm going to ink up my little stars. And I will stamp them the same way I stamped the word courage. So I'm just going to move it down. I'm going to do it again. Isn't this awesome? I love this. Oops, and I got a little bit, I always keep a baby wipe handy. I got a little bit of ink on my plate here. So I'll stamp this again. And the nice thing about this is if you don't get a good stamped image, you can always just either ink up the image again and stamp it or just push it back down. And that's it. All right, so now we have our, oh, I got a lot of ink all over the place here. Okay, so now we have our words on the side. So what I want to do is I want to stamp this big ribbon right in the center. So I'm going to bring this over and grab that stamped image. So I'm going to take this off again because we're using a cling mount stamp set. And I got to find my yellow. So now I'm going to use a little bit of Daffodil Delight and I'm going to ink this up. And I'm going to stamp this ribbon right in the center here. Okay. Whoop. And see, now I didn't get a good stamped image, so I can bring this back down and try it again. Now let me just push this down. There we go. And one more time. This is a little bigger image, so it takes a little bit. There we go. Okay, so that's good. Because I'm going to cover it up. I'm going to take this off of here. I'm going to cover it up with some words. So let me show you that. So to make the words, I'm just going to line them up. And I did my words in 2 different colors. You can do them in the exact same color if you want. But I kind of rotated the colors between like the H and R are one color and the E and the O are a different color. So I'm going to line all these up, put them exactly where I want them. And it likes to stick to my finger. See? So this is probably the putziest part, is lining these up. Okay. So since I want them in 2 different colors, I'm going to take the E and the O off. I'm going to bring my plate down and pick these 2 up. Oh, see what I did there? Oh, I got to do it again. Oh, you know why? Because I forgot to put the pad back underneath. That's why. All right, bear with me. See, this is what happens when you do this live. You get to see all my little quirks. Okay. Try it again. There we go. So we got the word hero on here. Now let's try taking the E and the O off. Oh, for goodness sake. There. Okay. So there we have that. So I'm going to stamp that first, and I'm going to use Night of Navy. And the reason I'm going to stamp this first is so that I know exactly where to line up the other ones. So we'll do Night of Navy first. And then we'll do the real red. Oh, and I missed, so we'll push that back down. And boy, I'm having trouble here today. That's what happens when you do it live, right? Okay, so now I'm going to turn this around, turn this plate around, because I want to use the other side for the red. So now I'll put the O and I'll put the E back on here. Okay. And we'll pick those up. And we'll ink those up. And down we go. Okay. So hopefully I have my hero card. There we go. Yay! So when you have a card that you have a lot of little pieces for, this Stamparatus works perfect. But let me show you something else, and then we'll put these cards together. We're going to make the exact same card, and I already have everything lined up, right? I have everything ready to go. So the nice thing about the Stamparatus is that now I can create as many cards as I want because I have everything lined up. So let's start by stamping my Courage. So we'll stamp that first. So if you have a lot of different cards that you're working on and you want to make, I should say, if you want to make a lot of cards, the exact same design, maybe you're a demonstrator and you're involved in a swap and you want to make a lot of cards, the Stamparatus is perfect for that. Maybe if you're not a demonstrator and you want to make a bunch of different cards, maybe for Christmas or any other holiday, this Stamparatus works perfect for recreating the exact same card. All right, so now I'm going to do my stars. And you see how everything is lined up perfectly. Oh, and I didn't put the pad back in, but it worked really nice. Let's see if it works really good without the pad. Oh, not bad. So with the photopolymer, it seems to be working well without having that little pad in there. Hopefully I don't jinx myself with that statement. Okay, so there we have our little words. I'm going to take this off and I'm going to add, where did it go? I lost my ribbon. Here it is. Now I'm going to add the ribbon. So we'll ink that up. And I'm going to show you a fun way to step up this card. So even though I'm stamping this, I'm going to cover it up. I'm actually going to cover it up with a ribbon that I cut out from one of the framelits in the support ribbon framelit set. So it doesn't matter that I didn't stamp it good because it's going to get covered up anyways. I just want it on there as a little template. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stamp my words just like I did before. And then I'm going to show you a cool little thing you can do. So I'm actually going to put the pad back in here. Okay. So we'll stamp the words. All right, and then I'm gonna do the red ones. And then I'm gonna lay that ribbon right on top because you'll notice that I have words stamped right on top of the ribbon. So I'm gonna lay that ribbon right on top as soon as I get my template set up. So there we have the O and the E. Perfect. Okay, so now I'm gonna lay this ribbon right on top here, and I'm gonna use my magnet to hold it. And then I'm just going to stamp, I want to stamp the E, so since I have this all ready to go, I'm just going to ink that E up. And remember, I already have the template set up, so I'll have the E on top, and I have the E behind it. Maybe I need a little bit more ink on there. I'm gonna add a little bit more ink. No worries. This makes it a lot easier. There, I think I got it on. Okay. I want a good, clean image. There we go. All right, so now I'm gonna turn this around, and I wanna do just the R so that I get the R on the ribbon. And voila, there we go. Okay, so now I'm gonna take this off and I will show you how to put together the card. Isn't that awesome? Let me get this Stamparatus out of the way. Okay. So all I'm gonna do is just add a couple little dimensionals behind this ribbon, and then we're gonna just put it right over the top of this hot mess I got going on here. But that's the nice thing about stepping this card up. I can cover up that mess with my little ribbon. And you'll be able to line it up with the images that you put on here. It should line up perfectly. Yay, it does. Awesome. Okay, so that is this hero card that I just did. So I'm gonna add it to my card base. So I'm just gonna put a little bit of tape on here. And for these cards, I pretty much use the same dimensions. So my card base is your regular size card. So when you open it up, it's just 5.5 by 8.5, and then I scored the center at 4 1/4. So that's how I made my card base. And then this little matted piece, this white piece, is 5 1/4 by 4. So that's the piece I used for here. And then you can just embellish it with a couple little, you know, rhinestones or whatever you want to embellish it with. Or you can leave it as is because it looks really awesome just as it is. All right, so now we have this card. So there you go. So we have 2 hero cards. You know, one that is stepped up. So this is what I would consider a stepped up card because we added something, you know, a little layer to raise it up. And then I also, the cards I shared earlier, this is the flag card that I made. And then your little stepped up just a little bit with some embellishments. And of course, then this card that's stepped up as well, this a totally different direction. But I also want to share with you that as a little bonus for joining me on this video, I have some additional card ideas for you. So let me give you a little sneak peek of those. So I was busy putting together a variety of patriotic cards. So these are some fun cards that I created using the baby wipe technique. So if you've never used the baby wipe technique or you're not really sure what it is, I have a video on how to do it, but you can pop over to my website, my blog, and you will get all the instructions on how to do the baby wipe technique, and then some instructions and supply lists for how to create these cards as well. And I use the little layered, what is it called? Large letter framelits to create the USA on the card. So, but the baby wipe technique is a great technique for adding a lot of color to your stamped images. So, so now that you have a few fun patriotic card ideas, I hope that you are able to use some of these ideas and get creative today. So if you enjoyed this video, I would love it if you would leave me a comment below just to let me know what you enjoyed most. Of course, if you like it, share it, all of those fun things, that would be awesome. So anyways, thanks so much for joining me. Everyone take care, and I will see you in the next video. Hey, Jeannie.